Mark Donica here at RTX 2016 with Mr. Ryan Haywood. If you're a fan of any, most eras of Rooster Teeth, you are involved.
Yeah, I trickle into various things here and there.
And you kind of did trickle in when you started with Achievement Hunter. How did you get into that room on that comfortable looking couch?
Well, I started as a Craigslist hire, as a part-time video editor, and then I stepped up to the main room when they were like, well, we have 5 players and we need even teams. So that's how I got in.
Dreams can come real. That's all you need to know in the community. One theater person to another. I wanted to ask you, what is your least favorite show that you worked on as crew?
Oh God. Maybe this is weird, but I don't remember having a particularly bad one.
No bad casts.
No. The theater. Okay, the school I went to was Georgia Southern University, and the theater department was tiny. So we didn't have a lot. We didn't have a lot of like real hardcore theater people in it. You didn't go to Georgia Southern to go for theater.
Yeah.
So we got the people that are like, well, I'm an engineering major, but I think maybe I like to just act occasionally. So it was actually a pretty tight-knit group of people that were there because they loved it, not there because they had a passion, you know. But no, I think the only one that jumps out at me that was like, oh God, why am I doing this? Was I did just all tech for it was like a spoken word show about shoes. It was
student-written production?
Nah, it was some guest director. I don't know.
It's always that. We would do operas every year with the music department, and when the music kids would come in, that's when they would start to be, all right, you do all of the work, we'll just come in and sing. And yeah, not fun being a master electrician for those folks.
Yeah, see what happened that worked out for us was, the music department hated us, and so they would never work with us, and then we didn't have to deal with them.
I'm gonna go tell that to my alma mater. Sounds great. You also play Professor Port in Ruby. Recently in Ruby Chibi, we saw there is an entire floor of the tower called Port's Fort, No Girls Allowed. I'm sure that's news to you.
That is.
What would the ideal bro pad of Professor Port be?
Okay, so it's got at least 3 full rooms of various styles of blunderbuss being held up. You know, I'm from Georgia, so I'm very familiar with this tradition. You have the mounted head of a beast, and its little legs are taxidermied to hold the guns. So that's how they're mounted on the wall.
Like the weapon that killed it?
Yes, exactly. It displays its own slayer. And then lots of very soft chairs.
Presumably out of animal hide.
Well, you know, it's okay if it's occasionally like a pleather, some synthetic blends. You know, Port has a skin thing sometimes. It's nice to mix it up.
Sure, don't overdo it.
Yeah.
Don't be too overt with it. And you also were in the Chorus trilogy from Red vs. Blue. And it seems like we're done with Chorus, but do you think what was it like being involved in a production that is at the very root of what Rooster Teeth is?
Well, actually, a lot of my early work at Rooster Teeth was as the technical director for RVB Season 10, which is one of our more CG-heavy seasons. That's actually, again, one of the reasons I got hired was I had a background in computer animation. Yeah. So I've had both sides of it now, having gotten to work technically on it and then gotten to work as a voice actor. So it's always great when you get to go back and participate in something that you watched before joining the company. And especially my experience with the technical side of it is not only having control over the voice of a character, but to be able to manipulate their physicality and their motion and how the ultimate look of the scene comes out. It's just a great experience to add to the continuum of something that you've watched.
Sure. And speaking of things that a lot of people have watched, so you took on this role in Achievement Hunter. The Mad King came. What was the first appearance of the Mad King? It wasn't Minecraft, but
the Mad King started as a joke. The first time that was uttered was actually just a joke I made at an RTX panel. And we were doing a series of Let's Plays called the King Let's Plays, where one person would be the king and have to set out a bunch of challenges that everybody would have to do to win gold blocks to complete a Tower of Pimps and become the next king. Yeah. So as a tease for the next, I think I'd already been king once, where I was coming up again, and as a tease for that one, I just said "All hail the Mad King." It kind of ran with it from there. So.
Tumblr exploded. A cavalcade of fan art followed, and now the Dark God has evolved into that.
All right, look. Every now and again, once you hit a level, you got to give yourself a promotion. Okay,
Sure.
if you can't just idle. Like if you don't, this is bad for a career path, even as a king, right? So you gotta. That's why they're always conquering other countries. I imagine. Yeah. So I just figured, what's the next step? And as soon as technology catches up with me, we'll see that Let's Play.
But I mean, also as a king, you get word from God to be the king, supposedly, depending on what culture you're from. So why not just be that God and just two birds, one stone?
It's like a Kickstarter. I'm backing my own kingship.
So you can follow the Indiegogo campaign for the Dark God, so that we can get that technology. We're looking at you, Mojang.
Amazing backer rewards.
All-powerful omniscience, things of that nature. And then that character evolved onto the screen with X-Ray and Vav. We seemingly saw the end of the Mad King at the end of Season 2, and Core Pirates coming back if there is a Season 3. Have you yet to hear about that?
There is no Season 3.
No Season 3?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there goes that question. But what was it like taking something that was more improv and taking it into like a scripted sense? Did you have any input on the character?
I mean, there would be several points where they would say just, kind of ad-lib something. So general malicious statements I could be attributed to. But a lot of it is Lindsay and... Jordan, thank you.
That's fine.
I was blanking. Lindsay and Jordan did most of the writing, and most of that is their work. So they took the dialogue from stuff that they could see our characters saying largely. And I think they did a pretty good job of nailing it. And again, it wasn't really even like acting that much, because most of those situations, well, it's not so much a persona as I've always thought that the person you are gaming is not necessarily the person you are. It's a reflection of just what you would like to do to have fun. That's all that is to me. So it was just like, all right, it's just like playing video games. Let's have some fun.
Hannibal Lecter-esque monologuing, tearing friends apart.
All right, so there's always a niche for everybody.
Well, I mean, it's the curse of a theater person. You just can't help but really nitpick everybody's personal lives and treating them like characters. Totally understand. Also, you've become a part of the Know. You are interim Gus when he's not on the patch. And free play, of course, with Meg Turney. What is the future of free play now with her being gone from Rooster Teeth?
Yeah, well, we'll actually have an announcement about that tomorrow at our panel. Okay. We're Megan and I hopefully we'll still be able to work together with various things for absolute certainty, because she's doing some streaming stuff, and now I also stream at home. So
yeah, you guys were streaming together, right?
Yeah, we plan to do a lot more of that. So you can definitely get that. I can guarantee you that will exist as a place to get your free play fix.
Sure.
And as far as free play the show, find out tomorrow.
Find out tomorrow at the free play panel. The end of quote-unquote Season 1 of Free Play was the Rocky Horror episode. You weren't having none of it. How much did it take to get you as Brad, really? Like, was it something where you went, oh, it's in my contract, okay, I have to do it? Or was it more of like a personal favor?
No, I was totally on board with it. It was just, at a certain point, it was like, okay, what will work better for this as a joke? Is it if I'm super into it, or is it if I'm just like, oh God, she's dragging me through this thing? And I mean, there was some element of that. Like I wasn't going into like, I can't wait to be Brad. So I just wanted, I was like, all right, that's the rabbit hole I'm going down. Let's do it. So I may have hammed it up a little bit for the production in my disgust at being present, but no, that whole thing was a great idea. I had a lot of fun doing it.
Absolute madness. If you want to see Miles in drag, you better be a first member of Rooster Teeth, because that I can't watch that from my brain. But so you're needless to say, you're in every aspect of the company. But where do you see yourself by the time we hit RTX 2017?
Oh, by 2017? Well, hopefully, Achievement Hunter's gone this far. Let's hope it keeps going before they just shut that down. Let's Play channel's doing really well. It's grown so much this year that it'll be really interesting to see where that takes us in the next year. We're doing a lot more of those live events, so that's a lot of fun to go out and actually meet people and do more things like RTX, where we get to interact with fans directly and on stage. It's great to be back on a stage.
Sure. Nothing can scratch that itch, much like just doing it.
True. Yeah. Even if it's not quite the same as doing theater, it's still really fun to have actual audience reaction.
Yeah.
That's what I miss a lot from doing videos. Is you don't know, especially doing like streaming stuff at home.
Sure.
There's the chat, but it's hard to actually get that visceral feedback. If there's people in the room, then you're like, oh, okay, at least made Jeff laugh today.
It's going to be a new Twitch feature where the more people are chatting, it just makes white noise, just louder and louder and louder. Why not?
You know what? That might actually not be a bad idea.
I mean, they keep rolling out new things, so I wouldn't be surprised if they make the Twitch audience feature the absolute madness. But thank you so much for joining us. A whole bunch of fun. That's it for us at RTX 2016. We'll see you back in LA.